Hello, my beautiful Barca babies, and welcome back to the Undefeated Mustache John YouTube channel, your number one place for live Barcelona news. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the good and the bad, the ups and downs of the Barcelona news feed right now. Pedri joining Araujo on the injured list. Alejandro, don't call me Alex Balde, is now a doubt after picking up a slight injury. We're going to talk about that as we look ahead to our visit to Villarreal. We'll talk about Xavi's potential lineup. We'll talk about scoreline predictions. Barcelona have also registered some more players, not the ones that you would expect. We'll talk about all of that, plus some transfer updates. Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, João Felix. We're going to be discussing all that and more on today's episode. I appreciate you stopping in. It's great to have you. If this is your first time joining us, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is the number one place for culés from around the world to come together, catch up on some news, have a little bit of caffeine as we either start or continue our day here on the Undefeated channel. But it's all about connecting with your fellow culés, having some good conversation. So subscribe to the channel so you can participate in the chat. With all of that out of the way, drop a like to show some love and support for the channel. And let's kick things off the right way, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuning in to the Undefeated Mustache John.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, really. It is just after 6 p.m. here in my time zone here in the States. Good to have you from wherever you're watching. You're just finding this community. Welcome. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat or down in the comments if you're watching on replay. Love to keep the conversation going. Again, we're going to be discussing Barcelona's visit to Villarreal, injury updates, transfer news, all that and more. Let's begin with some good news, though. Ter Stegen with the renewal until 2028. This is big time. El Capitan. New hair, new attitude. The current best goalkeeper in the world. Prove me wrong. Let me know if you got a different name in your mind in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on replay. But this is big news for Barcelona in a number of ways. Not only does it extend Ter Stegen's time here at Barcelona, but... Oh, that's not the one that I wanted to click on. Sorry, I thought I had another... Good one, John. Get your stuff together there, production team. Anyway, wrong tab. What are you going to do? Part of Ter Stegen's words. Let's hit some coffee and calm down. How about we do that instead? Part of Ter Stegen's contract renewal is deferring some of his salary. This is something that we've seen from past captains. Busi, Piqué, Alba, all did this, right? Ter Stegen extends the contract, doesn't take a pay cut necessarily. It's a pay deferment, so he'll get paid on the back end. Now, what has happened with a lot of those players is that they end up leaving before they get that big cash out, and a lot of players have forfeited those funds. I don't want to see that happen. I think Ter Stegen can stick around for another decade if he wanted to. So hopefully it's not one of those cases. I digress. The good news, okay? Surface level, Ter Stegen stays until 2028. That's another 5 years, my friends. 5 years of the best goalkeeper in the world. Very excited for that. So I'm going to turn to the chat. I'm going to say my hellos. Let me know down in the comments if you're watching this on replay. How excited are you? Scale of 1 to 10 for Ter Stegen, the trusted goalkeeper of Barcelona, renewing a contract, extending it till 2028. Scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you? We're going to turn to the chat, say my hellos, and then we are going to continue on with Barcelona injury news, leading into a little match preview for Villarreal. Let's see who we got. Ayush, good morning, sir. We got Harry in the house as well. Harry says, how was seeing Messi and Cincinnati a few days ago? It was, first of all, hot. I think it was like 1,000% humidity, but it was awesome. It's not seeing Lionel Messi playing for Barcelona in the Camp Nou, which I've been lucky enough to do. But next best thing, seeing Lionel Messi in the city that I'm living in right now. It was interesting rooting against him, I'll say, the first time I've done that. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Miami coming to Cincinnati. A hell of a match. It was a great time. What else we got? Anthony's in the house. Hello. Ahmed, hello to you, sir. Irfan's in the house as well. Who else we got? I know I'm missing some people here. Football for Life, hello to you. Rahul, hello and welcome. I'm just scrolling through the chat, seeing who we got hanging out with us. It is a good day to be chatting about some football. I know we got some folks watching over on TikTok. Again, if you want the full experience, swipe over, click the link in the bio. That'll get you over to where you need to be on the Undefeated Mustache on YouTube channel. I do appreciate y'all hanging out. And if you notice this Gavi t-shirt and you're enjoying it, you can get one yourself. It is actually available. Should have opened up this tab. Hey, production team, get your stuff together, please. Let me jump on over to one of our sponsors of the channel, barcamerch.com. Link is in the chat. It's pinned up there for you. You can go to barcamerch.com. You can shop by category. You can shop all. We got t-shirts. We got sweatshirts and hoodies. We got tank tops. We got polos if you're on the golf course and you're in the office. If you want to look a little bit more formal, we got you covered. Scroll here through here. We got a great selection, including this Gavi t-shirt. I'm wearing the blue version, a little bit more of the summer trend, right? The tropical blue. Looking good, looking sleek. Gavi represented by the pit bull there. If you want to go more with the classic red and yellow, representing Barca, representing España, you can do so. It's there for you. Link is in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, of course, it's barcamerch.com. Get yourself a deal and use code STASHSQUAD10, the number 10, at checkout. Get yourself 10% off your entire order. Who takes care of you? Uncle John. That's who. All right, barcamerch.com. Check it out. With that out of the way, I think we're ready to continue on with some Barcelona news. And since we talked about Ter Stegen, positive note, I'll give you the sour note now. And this is, I know, the bigger headline you've been waiting to discuss. The injury news. Pedri has a right quadriceps injury. He is unavailable for selection, and his injury will determine, or his recovery will determine his return. I can read, don't worry about it. Barcelona's typical language when an injury happens, I'm hearing 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks potentially for Pedri. Fingers crossed he and Araujo will be back for El Clasico in October. That is what we're aiming at. But even going through these next few matches without Pedri is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. If we jump over to this tweet by Barca Times, dropping some stats on us, I do appreciate this. Since the 21-22 season, Pedri, 40 matches played, 33 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses, 104 out of 120 possible points for Barcelona. Without Pedri, 38 matches played, 17 wins, 10 draws, 11 losses. That's only 61 out of a possible 114 points. Folks, it's big. It's big when we miss Pedri. Not only do I miss just having him on the pitch from a spectator standpoint, I love watching the little magic man, Pedri Potter, as they say. Another shout out, Pedri Potter t-shirt available on barcamerch.com. I digress. The impact in terms of Barcelona's scoring output, it's enormous. Scored in his last match against Cadiz. Oh, we're going to miss him. We're going to miss Pedri. He's going to be out for a few weeks. And this is now, I hate to say it, but becoming a bit of a trend. Becoming a little bit of a trend. I was hoping Pedri, with taking some time off this summer, wouldn't have the wear and tear that we saw a couple years ago. Maybe not the case. So Pedri joining Araujo on the injury list. Let me know your thoughts. Again, if you're watching this on replay, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. We'll keep the conversation going. Before I turn to the chat one more time, I do want to drop this piece of news as well. Alejandro Balde. The doubt. I'm going to quote Barca Insider here over on Twitter, who is quoting multiple journalists. And this is, I really appreciate this tweet because it really captures where journalism is right now. Sport says Balde is a doubt for Villarreal game. Tony Juan Martí says Balde is a doubt for Villarreal. Barca is trying to replace him with Alonso. Gerard Romero says Balde only suffers a sprain and nothing else. Javi Miguel says Balde is okay and will start against Villarreal. And you can keep that list going. It's back and forth. Who do you believe? Who do you trust? You really don't know. People are just taking shots in the dark these days, and there's no accountability. You can be wrong all day long and yet still have thousands and thousands of followers. You can quote nonsense, garbage sources to create your content, and yet thousands. I don't get it. Not here to judge. I just appreciate Barca Insider at least acknowledging that reality. So that is where I will turn to the chat. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What have you heard? What are your sources saying about this Alejandro Balde injury? How serious is it? Will he travel with the team to Villarreal? Will he start? Will he be on the bench? Where are we at with things? I'm going to turn to the chat. I'm going to see what the feelings are. And overall, who's going to step up for Barcelona? We've got Pedri, Araujo, potentially Balde, all unavailable, and then Rafinha serving out his suspension. So who's going to step up? We've got a number of options here. Next thing that we're going to get to is, of course, yes, just checking out my topic list here. Next thing we're going to get to is a little match preview for Barcelona Villarreal. We're going to talk about a potential lineup and more. I'm just opening up a tab here that I want to get to. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So turning to the chat, let me know your thoughts thus far, and then we're going to do some insights going into Villarreal, lineups, predictions, and we'll see what else comes up. Ahmed says we should have gave Pedri a break. We are overusing him. He hasn't played nearly as many matches as he was in previous years, so I hear you, but he should be able to handle this workload. Marek says Pedri might be better talent, but Gavi is rarely injured. Fair point. Not to compare the two in terms of who's... Listen, they're both going to be here for a long time, so we actually don't even need to go down that road, but I love the comment. Harry says, we need a new left back. We cannot have Alonso play as our left back. We'd be screwed if that happens. Pardon my language. I love you, Harry. You're a sweetheart. I've got an alternative to Alonso. I know a lot of people right now are assuming that Barcelona are going to push to register Alonso now ahead of Inaki Peña, but I think there's an alternative. I think there's an alternative route that you might like. So stick around. We're going to talk about the lineup that Xavi should go with in just a minute. And I think I got a solution for you. Rahul says, I think Xavi plays it safe and plays Alonso. I saw he was registered too. I don't know if he's registered yet, but you know who is registered? If we jump on over here. Who's this guy? Who's this guy right here? Clement Lenglet. Here's the thing, folks. Couldn't find him a home. Tottenham didn't bite. Didn't get interest from other suitors around Europe. So Barcelona went ahead and registered Clement Lenglet for the upcoming season. Haven't given him a kit number yet. I think the numbers available are 2, 12, 14, and 19 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me if I got that wrong. How are we feeling about this? Is there any room in your minds or in your hearts for a Clement Lenglet return story? For a redemption song? Is there any room in your heart and mind? I'm thinking back to his first season with Barcelona and how well he did. After that, it was a calamity of mistakes and unfortunate errors. But his first season really stood out as a bargain transfer that came up big, coming over from Sevilla. I'm just saying, with Araujo out, knowing that we're going to have injuries throughout the year, knowing that Xavi's leaning into a 3-back formation right now, I don't know. Am I crazy to think that there's a sliver of hope? A small possibility for Lenglet? Let me know your thoughts. What are we thinking about Lenglet now being registered for Barcelona? And does he have any hope, any sliver of a prayer for redemption with the Blaugrana? Let me think. Let me hear your thoughts. Ayush says, it's Ferran who should step up. I agree 100%, and I think he's ready. I think he's got the mindset for it. We'll be discussing him in a few moments, but the Shark, as he's starting to be known as, big opportunity for him. Harry says, oh no, not Lenglet. I don't trust him at all. I feel like they did that with Dest, though, and sold him on to help with financial fair play. Potentially. Toxic says, oh, hell no, please don't. I don't ever want to see Langley again. Someone please just take him off our hands. My goodness, the hate is real. Flash Mankind, what's up, dude? Good to see ya. Football for Life says, Langley is good on the bench, but he has a high salary. Chaos says, I'd rather have Frenkie De Jong play at the back like last game. That's probably what's going to happen. That's where I'm leaning as well. We're pretty flush with midfielders, so we can afford to have Frenkie drop back now with Oriol Romeu stepping up in the way that he has. Anthony says, in Ferron we trust. Marek says, why does Oriol play more on the right side of the midfield? Is actually Frenkie De Jong who plays that position, which he actually don't like. I think they're working it out. I think Frenkie can play pretty much anywhere right now. And like I said, Xavi's leaning more into a 3 center back formation and a double pivot. Don't tell Boosie. 28 Botellas says, Abde, Lua, Ferran. That would be your front 3. Okay, we'll get to lineups here in just a minute. Harry says, I'd rather play Eric Garcia rather than Langley. Reports are Eric Garcia on a couple of teams' list. I'm hearing Arsenal as well as some others. So could we cash in for Eric Garcia? Could happen. The fact that we registered Langley, the fact that Eric Garcia is rumored to be out, potentially. There was also some rumors of a Philippe Coutinho going to Saudi Arabia. If that's a big number, could be good for Barcelona because we're getting 50% of that sale. So Coutinho, while I would love to see him continue on in the Premier League, big fan of the player outside of his time at Barcelona. Big sale to Saudi Arabia gets us a little bit of cash, help with the financial fair play. I don't hate it. I don't hate it, folks. Don't hate it at all. A couple more quick things before we get to the Villarreal match preview. An update on João Cancelo. Barcelona hope to find a way to increase their financial fair play margin and register João Cancelo. We've been seeing this now for days and days and days. Fabrizio Romano, everybody under the sun is saying it's pending. We're waiting. It's going to happen. Here's the thing. After being burned by the Lionel Messi saga back in 2021, anything is possible, and I can't rely on the promises of what will happen. Okay, so I'm optimistic, but I am also hesitant, and I'll say being realistic about the chances of João Cancelo actually joining us. We've only got 6 days. Closes September 1st, so Barcelona, whether it's going to be moving on players like an Eric Garcia or a Langley, or there's still some rumors of a Ansu and Abde. I don't think it's going to happen, but will Barcelona make any more moves to get a João Cancelo in? What are we going to do here? Let me know in the chat. Player that will not be joining Barcelona this year, Bernardo Silva. According to Fabrizio Romano, he has confirmed that Manchester City have extended the contract. Now, I was having a conversation on Twitter with the #1 journalist in the world, Pablo Wolves Blanco, who pointed out 50 mil for the buyout clause. That is incredibly affordable. It's not going to happen this year, of course, but come next season, maybe we move on from Romeu, have Frenkie fully step into that defensive mid role, and we bring in Bernardo Silva for 50 mil after balancing the budget a little bit more, another year under the new strategic financial direction. Maybe that happens. But for now, no on Bernardo Silva. He stays with City, which means we move forward with our current midfield, Pedri injury and all. But I got to tell you, I like our chances. I still think, with everything going on, I think La Liga champions, I think Copa del Rey champions, maybe Super Copa champions. It's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit tougher for Super Copa, but we'll see. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. My friends, I think it is time for us to turn our sights, turn our attention to Barcelona versus Villarreal. This is going to be live on Sunday morning, 11:30. We will be doing a live stream for this one. Of course, convert that for your time zone. We got culés watching from all over the world, so make sure you figure out what time that is. We'll be going live about 15 minutes before kickoff. The lineups will be released. We'll reiterate our predictions. We'll start getting in the spirit to support the Blaugrana. Before that, though, we're going to go over some insights here provided by the internet. We're going to talk about lineups. We're going to talk about predictions. And we'll keep the conversation going. So here's some insights going into the match. Number 1 of 5 here. After 3 consecutive wins over Barcelona between 2007 and 2008, Villarreal have won just one of their last 28 meetings with the Blaugrana in the competition away from home in May of 2022. Woo! Big time. Number 2 of 5 here. Barcelona have not lost any of their last 14 visits to Villarreal in La Liga, winning their last 4, having lost in 5 of their previous 6 away games against the Castellón side in top flight. So trending positively after a bit of a streak there. Number 3 of 5, Villarreal have suffered 28 defeats to Barcelona in their La Liga history, more than against any other opponent. Suck it. Indeed, the Blaugrana could become the first team to reach 100 goals scored against the Yellows in top flight. They're sitting on 98, so Barcelona, if we can get at least a brace in there, be good to go on that 100. Number 4 of 5, Villarreal have not won either of their last 2 home games in La Liga and have not gone 3 home games without winning in their competition since February of 21, which isn't too long ago. That's kind of a useless stat. Anyway. The 5th and final one here. This season, Barcelona have not lost either of their 2 La Liga games and kept a clean sheet in both. They haven't started a top-flight campaign without conceding in their first 3 games since 2017-18 under Valverde. Wow, who was known for strict defensive responsibilities. So, nice trend there. A chance for Xavi to make his mark again as someone who is going defense first. If you remember to last year, a lot of 1-0s, a lot of 2-1s. All right, Barcelona going defense first, feeling a little bit like a Jose Mourinho team at times. I got to say, I know it's blasphemous, but putting the points first, as they say, sacrificing style at times is what I mean by that. Anyway, folks, like I said, Barcelona kicking things off 11:30 on Sunday. The question now becomes, how will Xavi line up? No Pedri, no Araujo, they're injured. Alejandro Balde is a question mark, and Rafinha is suspended. So how are we going to line up versus Villarreal? Here's what I'm thinking. Starting off with the trusty Ter Stegen between the posts, of course. New hair, new attitude. The best keeper in the world. Not even open to arguments. Number 1 in your hearts and in your minds and in your programs and in the world rankings. Now here's where it's going to get interesting, folks. I mentioned we got injuries. I mentioned we got suspensions. Xavi's been leaning in towards a 3-back formation, and so that's what we're going with. I'm saying it's going to be Frenkie, Christensen, and Koundé as your back 3. We saw this against Cadiz. Frenkie, of course, not unfamiliar with playing in that center back role. Did it for Xavi for a number of matches last season. I've seen him there for the Netherlands. Do I prefer him in the midfield? Yes. But in terms of center back replacements with Araujo out, Frenkie beats out Garcia. He beats out Alonso. And then Martinez, I believe, is still unavailable. So, looking at a back 3 of Frenkie, Christensen, Koundé. And then who's going to play in front? I'm thinking it's Gundogan. I'm thinking it's Romeo in a double pivot. Of course, Gundogan is going to push forward a bit more. Romeo will be responsible for holding things down, shutting down those transitions, those counterattacks. But it'll be a shared responsibility with Gundogan there. And then Frankie's going to help that out with his pace, with his ability to read the game. So it's really going to come down to Frenkie and Oriol shutting down the counterattacks through the middle there. This is where it gets interesting, folks. And this is where I'm going to need you to bear with me, all right? Back and forth on whether or not Alejandro Balde will be available. I'm going to assume that he is not going to be in the starting 11. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to say he's not going to start, but he'll be available on the bench, which means we're going to go with some alternatives. I know a lot of you are thinking it's going to be an automatic Marcos Alonso. There's reports that Barcelona are going to push to get him registered ahead of this Sunday's match. I feel differently. I think Xavi's going to roll the dice. I think we're going to go with Easy Abde out in that left wing back, left mid position with lots of freedom to run up that left-hand side. I think that's going to be balanced with Lamine Yamal on the right with very similar responsibilities. And I think we're going to have Gavi, Ferran Torres, both playing underneath Lewandowski. This is very similar to how we lined up against Cadiz, except of course you had Balde in where Abde is. You had, what else? There was one other switch. Oh, of course, Pedri in for Ferran. So I think those are the changes. I think Xavi doesn't stray too far from what we saw against Cadiz, other than those couple of changes. There are some alternatives, of course. If you look at the bench, I could easily see Abde sitting down and Ansu sliding in and this becoming more of a straight 4-3-3. I could see a Fermin Lopez sliding in for a Gavi, and maybe Gavi comes off the bench. There's a number of ways that you could play this. Less likely would be someone like a Clement Lenglet getting some time, but it's not out of the question. Not out of the question by any means. He's been registered. We don't know what kit number he's going to have yet. Like I said, I think 2, 12, 14, and 19 are what's available. I digress. If you look at this starting 11, I think it gives us balance. I think it gives us pace and creativity. It gives us lots of options in the final third in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net. I know some of you are going to be upset that I'm not putting Ansu in there, but I'm liking Ansu off the bench. So let me know your thoughts on this starting 11. Does it line up with what you think Xavi would go with? Does it line up with what you would go with? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. Predictions-wise, predictions for Barcelona as they travel to Villarreal. I'm going to say 2-0 to Barcelona. Goals from Lewandowski and Ferran Torres. Okay? Lock it in. Barcelona going to Villarreal this Sunday, 11:30 kickoff. End of the match, it'll be 2-0 to the Blaugrana. Goals from Lewandowski, goals from Ferran Torres. Lock it in. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions. Let me know your lineup, your predictions for the score. I'm going to turn to the chat. If you're watching on replay, again, leave your comments down below. We'll keep the conversation going. And everybody, whether you're watching live or on replay, drop a like. If you are enjoying the content, show some love and support for the channel. I do appreciate you hanging out and watching. Consider participating in the conversation. Leave your comments down below. Toxic says, sorry, but we should not be playing our only remaining midfielders, basically asking for another injury, and then we're screwed. Well, I mean, we're not going to just keep them on a shelf. You know, they're there to be played. Puka Circle Podcast, I think new to the channel. Welcome, my friend. Says, I wouldn't start Yamal if Rafinha is back. I would also start Ansu over Abde. Rafinha not back yet, so we got to go with other options. But you're saying you would start Ansu over Abde. That might be the case. I'll say I would not be shocked if that's what happens, but I think Abde gives us a little bit better of a balance, I'll say. Harry says, I'd be very happy with that 11, and Xavi won't go with that 11. He likes Alonso too much. You might be right, Harry. I know I'm kind of rolling the dice. I know some folks are going to say there's no way, John, you're crazy. This is why Americans shouldn't be watching soccer, blah, 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 blah. I get it. Get it. But I'm not, I could be right, though. I could be right. 28 Botella says, I think Alonso will play. He was untouchable at Chelsea and now is wanted by Arsenal. Definitely playing as center back. Hasn't been good for him. Harry also coming in with the 2-0 prediction saying Frenkie and Abde to score. All right. Walter, how we doing, sir? Good to see you. Raul says prediction 1-0 with a goal from Lewandowski or Yamal. All right. I'm hoping we get more than that, but we'll see. My man Ayush coming up with the 2-0 prediction. One for Ferran, one for Gundo. I love it. Quick shout out to Ayush. Ayush has been working very hard in the background. He's put together a Discord channel for us. I now just have to do my part. Work, of course, got in the way again. But by Sunday's match, we will have a live Discord channel. That's a big announcement for this channel. I know people have been asking for it for a couple of years now. So Stash Mod Ayush has stepped up to the plate, created all the channel for us, everything that we need. I just got to go in and make a couple of touch-ups, put on the final pieces, and then it will be live this Sunday. Discord channel, let's go! Very excited for that. We'll be in connection throughout the week, even when the stream is not going. Kyle Cash, how we doing, sir? Hope life is treating you well. Where are you at right now, Kyle? Traveling around, doing good things. Hope life is treating you well. Puka says, I think Barcelona will have a difficult time if Lua can't get it rolling. Amen to that. I know we're looking at getting some reinforcements in January. Vitor Roque likely to come in, but we don't want to wait that long. We can't really rely on that just yet. Excuse me. Burps coming. Ahmed says, big ups to Ayush. Amen to that. Absolutely. Walter says, hi, Mustache. I'm doing great. I listened to you from Nassau, Bahamas. Well, welcome, sir. Good to have you. Good to have everyone watching from around the world. Again, one of the great things about this channel, you get to meet people that you would never have the opportunity to connect with if not for this channel. We come together. We have some good, positive conversation where it's not just a bunch of trolling and a bunch of nonsense. It's people who genuinely care about Barcelona, who want to support the club, who want to have some good conversation about it. Yes, we have our gripes, our complaints, we have our ups and our downs. But we support the badge, we support each other here on this channel. That is what we do. So if you are a Barcelona supporter, if you consider yourself a culés, then I invite you to join the undefeated community. Come hang out with us every Monday and Friday as we catch up on Barcelona news on Wake Up in Barca, match previews, predictions, analysis, post-match recaps, all that and more. Plus, we do live watch-alongs during the matches. Don't just sit on the couch and watch the game by yourself. Tune in, come hang out, participate in the conversation, cheer on the Blaugrana with your fellow culés as we all watch together during the live watch-alongs right here on the Undefeated channel. One more time, drop a like. I do appreciate your support. Hop on over to barcamerch.com. Pick yourself up one of these slick Gavi t-shirts. Use code STASHSQUAD10 at checkout to save yourself 10%. Make sure you are subscribed, of course. Come back and hang out with us this Sunday. Live watch-along Barcelona versus Villarreal. I got you covered for the live commentary. You get to chat with your fellow culés. All the good stuff. I'll turn to the chat one more time before we get out of here. Flash Mankind, Visca Barca indeed. Ayush says, it's still joinable. Should I send the link? Yeah, Ayush, go ahead and drop it in right now. We'll call it a soft open for the Discord. I'll make the updates that you requested. And then we'll call it a full launch on Sunday. But if you want to drop that in the chat, that works. Jedi Trick says, Lua needs to score. I would love to see it. Listen, I would love to see a Lewandowski hat trick. Just shake out the cobwebs, get things going. But I'm predicting 2-0 Lewandowski fair on getting the goals. Neo Premium, what's up, sir? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see everybody else in here. Chris says, I predict Gavi to get a yellow card. Well, come on now. That's almost a guarantee. He is going to be on the pitch at some point. Oh, too funny. Too funny. Yep, got to update some commands there. I see. What else? Ahmed says, have an amazing and great day. Love you all. Thank you, Ahmed. Very positive. Love back to you. And love to all my culés watching. If you're watching over on TikTok, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Just make sure you swipe over, click the link in the bio. That gets you over to YouTube. That's where you want to be. All the glitz and the glamour, the bells and the whistles, and the Stash Squad hanging out with you. So, I appreciate you spending some time with me. I appreciate you tuning in to the Undefeated channel. Again, come back, hang out with us every Monday and Friday for live Barcelona news on Wake Up in Barca. I will see you all this Sunday. Barcelona taking on Villarreal. Come hang out as we support the Blaugrana. We continue our title defense for this season. So I appreciate y'all. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking